Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Power Over Tomorrow. I'm your host and resident financial advisor, Tyrone T.S. Mitchell, and we are coming to you live courtesy of T.S. Mitchell Financial, LLC. Remember, T.S. Mitchell Financial, LLC is an independent and trusted registered investment advisory firm. The information that we do share here on Power Over Tomorrow is meant for educational purposes and not for the solicitation or the endorsement of any particular stock or investments. Remember, stocks, investments, and things of that nature do have risk, and unless otherwise stated, are not guaranteed. So please continue to hit us up on Facebook, continue to hit us up on Twitter at TS Mitchell Power, and continue to visit our website at tsmitchell.com. For your up-to-date financial information, because remember, what we want to do is ensure that you have sound financial information so that you can make an educated decision concerning your family, your future, and your finances. And we definitely wish to appreciate those sponsors who have made the decision to help financially sponsor this program, as well as many others on our network. And they are Zulina Health, Wellness, and Fitness, Paper to Films Production, Renovation Mills, Revolution Mills and Renovations. I'll get this right. Sometimes you're so anxious to get going, your mind moves faster than your mouth. And then other times, sometimes you speak before your mind gets going. So we're going to get it right. You know what? And I think it's apropos for what we're going to be talking about today. Sometimes, you don't want to stress yourself out. You don't want to stress yourself out. And when we are dealing with our finances, the two areas that we're going to talk about and the topics that we have going with our subject matter today. And remember, we are talking about today, putting a price tag on your health. That's right. Putting a price tag on your health. And I've said, don't stress yourself out. It's okay to be concerned. It's okay to make sure things are done properly, because that's what we're called to do. But then there are times where we find ourselves getting stressed out for things that oftentimes we can't even control. I remember one time, and I'm going to tell this story for those who were there during that day. That day I had to eulogize my mother when she passed away 2 years ago. When I had to eulogize her, we were in the house, everybody, the family was getting together, and everybody knew that, Dad, he needed his time. When Dad has to preach or conduct a funeral or whatever, they give me my space because they know I'm winding up. They're winding up. They don't want to do anything. So I put on my suit jacket at that time. And I put the jacket on and it just didn't fit right. I put the pants on, it just didn't fit right. And my wife said to me, well, what's the problem? I said, I know I've been here a few days, and I said, I know I haven't eaten that much fried chicken. My suit don't fit. And she looked at it, and I kept looking at it, because most of my suits are dark blue and pinstripe. And so I'm looking at the suit, and I said, I know this is my suit. Yeah, because I'm thinking I bought it, and I'm putting it on. And then I looked at it just a little bit closer. Then I realized I was wearing my son's suit. And I looked at it. I said, hey, give me my suit. And my wife said, I knew something was wrong. She said, Tyler's suit looked too big on him, and your suit looked too small on you. And, we just cracked up laughing. And so he and I switched the suits. He's 6'3", thin like a rail, and I'm 5 foot something, wide like a truck. So, so it was just something that we needed to ease the stress and ease the tension of that day. And when I shared that with with those who were there for the services, they all just cracked up laughing. And it reminded me so much of what my mother used to say. She, don't worry about it. Mom used to say things such as, there's more than one way to skin a cat. It's like water off a duck's back. All right. She said, be careful of the people you meet on your way up, because they'll be the same people you meet on your way down. Mom said, what goes around comes around. God doesn't like ugly. Mom would always say something like that, especially when times were tough and times were what we got heavy laden. But what she was teaching was, don't let stress control you. And eventually I learned something that stated that don't let your environment dictate your involvement. Why am I saying all this? Well, this segment and our next segment, we're going to be talking about how your health and finances basically go together. How financial things can affect your health, and your decisions on your health can affect your finances. So today what we're going to talk about is a topic called putting a price tag on your health. Putting a price tag on your health. We hear over and over again how important it is to maintain a healthy lifestyle. We hear these things, but we'll say this, but being healthy for its own sake isn't easy. It is not easy. I was speaking to a young man today on my 5 o'clock radio show here locally in Columbia, South Carolina. The young man, he answers the phone and says, hey, Mr. Mitchell, I'm ready. I said, what are you ready for? He says, I'm on my way to Florida. So he and I started a joke. I said, wait a minute. You always tell me you don't have any money. He said, well, I got some money. He says, but I got to take a little bit. He said, when I get to Florida, I'm going to get me some McDonald's. I said, whoa, hold on, young man. I said, that's not healthy food. He said, and he hit it right on the head. He said, by the time I land, he said, ain't nobody cooking at 12 o'clock in the morning. I said, okay, you got me there. But when we laughed about it, but what I'm saying is that sometimes when we are looking at being more healthy, we do have to understand that we typically have to find ourselves eating things that may not be as healthy as they should. So when we are dealing with the fact about putting a price tag on our health, we're going to address some things, such as, diet. We're going to address some things such as exercise. And I know some of y'all are saying, well, wait a minute, we thought this was a financial segment. It is because it costs money. It costs money to live healthy, and it costs money to live unhealthy. So we want to find out, we're going to discuss, where do you want to put your money? Someone once said that if you had 2 dogs in the fight, which one is going to win? Well, the answer to that one is whichever one you feed the most. That's the dog that's going to win. So if you are physically challenged, like many of us are, I told my doctor, said, Mr. Mitchell, you need to lose some weight. I said, no, hold on now, partner. I'm the perfect weight for someone 7'2". Okay, so I'm not overweight. I'm just vertically challenged. Now that may sound humorous, but in the essence of it all, we all must understand what it means to be healthy and unhealthy. For when we talk about the monetary benefits of a healthy lifestyle, it offers some very good incentives for us to get it right. Being healthy not only makes you feel good, it also helps you financially. Yes, it does. So many times I enjoy going to the doctor. And like I said, this is not something that I do, but when God blesses you with the ability to be able to get up in the morning and go about your day, that I'm not, dependent upon a wheelchair. I'm not dependent upon a CNI dog. I'm not dependent upon many things that typically folks may have to endure. But when God blesses you with the ability to get up in the morning and do what you're called to do, and you can do it and be healthy about it, and still get to work and provide food on the table, a roof over your head, and clothes on your back, that's a blessing. It is truly a blessing. So when the scriptures say, this is the day that the Lord has made, be glad, be happy and glad in it, those are the things that we should rejoice in. I don't ever believe that there is a Blue Monday or whatever the case may be, or was it Stormy Monday? You know, these things in life, they do occur. It's going to rain on the just and the unjust. The sun is going to shine for the good, and the sun is going to shine for the evil. But what are you going to do with that day and the time that you have? You know, when we think about this earthen vessel that we have, it is important for us to keep it in the best possible position that we can. Now, for those of us who may have medical conditions, that is something you will have to deal with. But there are things that we can do to help better our lifestyle. When I go to the doctor, I sit there, and when the nurse or the practitioner goes through that checklist, do you have this, and they go down the list, and I say, no. And then they look at me and they say, okay. And they wonder if I'm telling the truth or not. Then they test what? They take your blood pressure. They do things to see if it's so. They take your blood test. They do these things to see if it's so. Why? Because they want to make sure that you are in the right position to live a healthy lifestyle. When we find ourselves wondering how our health might affect our bottom line financially, we have to take some things into consideration. Number one, preventive care. Preventive care can help reduce the potential of healthcare costs. Yes, it can. Think about this. Even a minor sickness can lead to missed days at work. And the more we hear about states going into the aspect of a right to work, okay, or when they go into that aspect where you have a right to work, I also often say sometimes they have a right to fire you. This is an at-will state. That's what they typically call it. The difference between the two, the right to work means that you have the right to go to work without being forced to join a union. At-will state means that you can work at will and leave at your will, and they can hire you and fire you at will. Now, there are some parameters that they want to make sure that you're not being discriminated against, but that's another show when we'll talk possibly about the difference between those two elements. But for this case in point, we want to talk about many states are turning to at-will, becoming at-will states. So what happens in an at-will state, and this is health and finance now, is that you continue to miss days out of work because of minor illnesses. You're sick, your child's sick, you can't find a babysitter, so you got to go stay home with your child. You have to do these things. Minor sicknesses can cause you to miss work. And many times, if you are not at work, you don't get paid. Now, that even doubles when you are what? When you are the sole proprietor of your practice, of your business. If you're at work, you earn money, you get paid. But if you're not at work, there's no money being paid. We will one day discuss the difference between what I call a business a business builder and an income producer. The difference, a business builder and an income producer. Let's take the latter part first. An income producer means this. When you work, you get paid. When you don't work, you don't produce any income. Now, a business builder does this. You build the business, and when you take off, the business still generates money. Business builder or income producer. So most people who are possibly listening right now to Power Over Tomorrow, you are probably, most likely, an income producer. When you work, you get paid. When you don't work, you don't get paid. That's why we talk about the essence of insurance, because insurance is not to replace you, but it is to replace the income, the income that you are producing. When you produce an income, you want to make sure it is protected, so therefore the money will always be there if you're unable to work. Now, these minor illnesses that can come about because you lack preventive care. It causes you to lose days of work. All right. It can also cause you to basically lose your job. And then we talk about a serious illness. Serious illnesses often involve major costs, like hospital stays, like medical equipment, doctor's fees. And if you've ever been in the hospital or had to receive a procedure, no longer are the days where you get one bill. No, you get a bill for the doctor. Let's back that up. You get a bill for the hospital. And every doctor that peeps their head in the room, looks at your chart, says hello, then walks back out, sends you a bill. They do. Whether they are the head person or they're the intern, you're going to get a bill. And if there's a doctor so if you're having a full body, tune-up, the doctor who does your head tune-up and the doctor who does your feet, two different doctors. And if there's a doctor that gives you anesthesia because while one person's working on the head and another doctor shoots you with an injection to numb your feet, that's going to be two different it's not anesthesiologists. Yeah, I went to college. So what I'm saying is this. When we do not exercise preventive care of our bodies, it does affect our financial position. Because when we don't have preventive care, we often overlook certain things that we may not financially be prepared to cover. Another thing is that individuals can lower the dental costs by receiving regular checkups and performing basic preventive care. Did you know that regular cleanings every 6 months goes a long way? And I know some of you say, man, when they put the dental floss between my teeth and they do that deep cleaning and get under there and they go, ooh, sometimes you make you want to scream. Our family dentist, she's a lovely lady. She is, she's a brilliant doctor. But sometimes when I'm sitting there and I don't like to be crying. But when they start doing that deep cleaning and getting all up in there, I can't do anything but just start crying and I put my head in her lap and oh man. But you know what? The end result is this. Teeth are good, and they are able to keep them clean. Because in the long run, those preventive measures, especially with your teeth, because what happens is that if you don't take care of your teeth, even with preventive care, and we do this for our children too, go on a regular basis. Because have you ever had a toothache? Let's get right to the point. Have you ever had a toothache? Hello? A toothache will shut your whole body down. Just that one little tooth. Whether it is your I don't know the proper names, or whether it's we say the canine teeth, or whether it's the big teeth in the back, the molars that grind up stuff. But the key is this: when you got a toothache, that one tooth, it shuts your whole body down. Brothers, you need to make sure that your wife goes to the dentist. I'm telling you, hello, what? Listen to me now, because if she has a toothache, everything shuts down. She don't feel like doing nothing. And you think when she says she has a headache, hey, you better be careful. Get yourself a good dental plan and make sure that everybody in the family gets a chance to go and get those regular preventive treatments. You may think you're paying extra money now, but in the long run, it definitely pays. So these things are what we want to strive for. We want to look for those preventive cares. And it says this: when poor health persists over time, lost earnings may make it harder to save for retirement. Ooh, when your health is poor, persists over time, lost lost earnings will make it harder to save for retirement. There is a correlation between what we say the working class poor, folks who work not just one job, sometimes 2 or 3 jobs, just to make ends meet, but yet they can't afford health insurance. They can't afford dental insurance. We can go into the discussion whether or not you like affordable care or the Affordable Care Act. Some folks call it Obamacare. But the key issue is this, and you have to address this the way it is that we basically have 3 segments of people. We have those who are, I would say, 65 and older. I want to go with that, and I'm not talking financial. I'm talking right now, just basically age-wise. Okay, those who are 65 years and older have a form of social medicine. They do. It's called Social Security. Oh, Social Security, correction. It's called Medicare. They have a form of social health insurance called Medicare. Everyone 65 years and older has form of health insurance. Now, the other segment, they may not be 65, but they may not be able, they may be lower income. Everyone who's on a lower income can qualify for what? Medicaid, public assistance when it comes to health care. Medicaid. Now, the problem that we see, and as a financial advisor, as a wealth manager, the problem that I've seen when I'm working with my small business owners, when I'm working with families who have to care for children and aging parents, we call them the sandwich generation, is that they are that middle segment. They make too much money where they don't qualify for public assistance and called Medicaid when it comes to health insurance, and they're not 65 years old. So therefore, they don't qualify for another form of public health insurance called Medicaid. Now, when we have the political pundits and everybody crying out, we don't want socialized medicine, I had to catch my breath because I was going to say something that wasn't polite. I'll say this: get real. Get real. We have socialized medicine. We have insurance, socialized insurance, based upon Medicaid and Medicare. The generations and the population that is suffering the most and also helps carry this country falls in that middle segment. You make too much and you're not old enough. You're in that middle segment. You're younger than 65 and you make more money than required, or you have more assets than required for Medicaid. So here you are. That segment is what the Affordable Care was striving to help cover. Folks wanted to shoot it down as they cried out, repeal, replace, and all those, the nonsensical things. But I still remember this. I had a business owner client, and when the Affordable Care came out, I think it was 2 of them, 2 clients. When the Affordable Care came out, I helped them sign up for it. They got signed up, and immediately he said he went to the doctor for the first time in years. They found something, and they were able to treat it, and it cost him minimum. And when he thought about how much money it would have cost him if he did not get the care, the Affordable Care, and how much money it would have cost him to have that procedure, he was overwhelmingly thankful that I brought it to his attention on what he's eligible for. Small business owner, young man, has a job, has his own business, owns property, has a wife and children, but yet at some point in time was unable to afford the cost of health insurance because the premiums were astronomical, coming directly from the insurance companies. So that segment, there was a large segment of people that people just did not want to address. And I'm pointing this out because we as a nation are putting a price tag on people's health. And when we put a price tag on their health, we are basically saying, we will not pay for your insurance, and we don't care if you can't afford insurance. That's just the way it is. It should not be. It should not be. We have an issue in this country, where people have habits that lead to poor health. We have issues in this country where people find themselves on the wrong end of the obesity scale. I remember growing up, when we were in elementary school, and it's not too far back now. I know some of y'all possibly thinking when I say the 70s, you're thinking a long time ago. It was not a long time ago. I still remember it wasn't a long time ago. It was in my lifetime. Now, back in the 70s and 80s, and I would say maybe little parts of the early parts of the 90s too. When we were in school, you can basically count the number of people that was considered, and forgive me if I'm not politically correct, because I've never grown up to be, people who are fat. All right, we would say who was fat, and we would, encourage them. Some folks say, tease them or what. I'm not advocating that, but I'm just pointing this out. It was, if we had 10 children, the ratio was probably at most 2 out of 10 were overweight. Now we come in the 90s, the turn of the century, and here we are in the first 10 years, in the first 20 years of the new millennium. We find that scale, no pun intended, has changed. So instead of it, as it was when I was in elementary school, maybe 2 out of 10 who were obese, we find now that 2 out of 10 who are in shape. Now it just turned. And what has that driven? That has driven a large segment of our children to be classified as obese. When we deal with these things called the body mass index, and a lot of that stuff I would say it is a measurement. It's a measurement to help us focus on how do we reduce the aspects of living an unhealthy life. When we put a price tag on our health, we have to, in an effort to make sure that we are able to save money for our own future. Think about this. Poor health habits, such as smoking, all right? A person who smokes a pack of cigarettes a day, can spend more than $2,000 a year on cigarettes alone. $2,000 a year. And I'm just going to hold on a point right there for a second. Now, this is an unhealthy habit. It costs you out of your pocket. Approximately, you can spend $2,000 a year just on cigarettes. Then you come to me and say, well, hey, Mr. Mitchell, I need some life insurance. I said, okay. We sit down and we do, we ask some questions, and then it comes up whether or not you smoked cigarettes in the past year. Now, depending upon the amount of cigarettes you smoke, and depending upon which insurance company we use, they will say, 1 pack a day or 1 pack a month. You still may have to pay smoker rates. Other insurance companies may be a little more lenient, but there are many of them that will say, because you smoke cigarettes, your premiums, and when I started in the business back in 1984, it was typically maybe a 5 or a 10% premium increase of premium on top of someone who didn't smoke. Now, it is not uncommon that insurance companies for life insurance will charge you at least 50% more than someone who doesn't smoke. So if your premiums on your life insurance policy were $1,000 a year and you didn't smoke cigarettes, and then you decide to take up smoking cigarettes, all right, and you decide to buy a policy after you started smoking, now your premiums could be, in many cases, not $1,000 a year, could be $1,500, and some I've even seen going up, 100%, double, all right, up to $2,000. So basically, cigarettes or our habits will cause insurance companies to rate you differently. Now, you're spending an extra $2,000, okay? You're spending $2,000 extra buying packs of cigarettes. And then on the other side, okay, on the other side, you're paying more in life insurance premium and health insurance premium. So if in essence we say you're spending an extra $3,000 to $4,000 a year, are you going to tell me that there is not a time where you could have used $3,000 or $4,000 throughout that year? Folks say, well, I don't have enough money to save for retirement. I don't have enough money to do this or do that. Take the money you're spending on bad habits and just put it towards something good. You'll save yourself some money. Put a price tag on your health. What is your health worth? What is it worth? When we don't use healthy lifestyle approaches, it costs you money. It was once reported that this is a generation. It said, I read this report. It's the first time in history where the now generation will not outlive the previous generation. Get that? They said the first time in history where today's generation will not outlive the generation previous. And they point out things such as obesity, things such as lack of exercise. I can't recall to tell you how many times where I see more children inside the house doing like this and not outside. They're playing Madden football on Xbox and not outside playing flag or touch football on the street. We've heard that Toys R Us, who've been around a long time, I mean, decades, generations, now going out of business. And the reason is because children are not playing with those toys anymore. We used to look forward to going to Toys R Us and meeting Jeffrey the giraffe and the little baby giraffes. It was fun. And that company, Toys R Us, spun off different companies like Babies R Us and all those different things. But as generations began to move more toward technology and less toward toys, we find they're not buying them anymore. Along with that, many of us are shopping where? Not on, not in the brick and mortar store, but we're shopping online. Amazon's, all right? What's the other one? Amazon, the one in, y'all know what it is, the one that's out in Europe. Alibaba. Now, Alibaba is in the Asian countries is twice the size of Amazon here in America. All right, Alibaba is big time, and they are just delivering packages and delivering stuff that Amazon is trying to keep up with. So you think Amazon has a competitor? Yes, they do. So what I'm saying is this: we see these things. We see these things coming about where places like Toys R Us, where children are no longer exercising and playing with those toys that they used to, getting out in the street and running and playing and those things. And while we see technology has its advantages for bringing things to us and making the globe, this blue marble that we live on, making it smaller so we can go around the world and not even have to leave our house. Okay, so those things do affect how we move about. And sometimes I know some of you say you move about a lot of times in your chair. Well, hey, so I got to. Listen, I'm like an old shark. A shark has to keep moving or he's gonna die. So when I move around like this, just stand, just like the songs say, just lean back, and you'll see that I'm still within the picture frame. I move because I have to keep moving, because you know why? A sedentary lifestyle, whether you're sitting at the desk or whether you're sitting behind the wheel for several hours of the day while you're driving, whatever you're doing, or even just sitting on the couch, we have to get up and move. When we don't, we cause our bodies to get lax. The muscle fibers become weakened. You have to keep moving. So when we see things such as an increase in obesity in our children and even in ourselves, it's time to wake up. Because if we don't address the financial or the physical matter now, we will have to address the financial matter later. And when you address something after it has been in effect, it does cost you more. It costs you more. And one thing that it will often do cost you more and that is your stress level. Putting a price tag on your health so that you can reduce your stress. When we find ourselves, like many American homes now, it says in an article that we're producing with this segment, debt stress. It says that the average American household has a debt that is over $132,000. And the average debt on our credit card debt is over $15,000. So when we think about that, we have overall debt of over $130,000. Credit cards are over $15,000. There's little wonder why money worries so many people and causes so much stress. You take that debt and then couple it on top of, along with a physical issues when you're having to have more medical costs, prescription drugs, doctor's bills, concerned about obesity. That stuff adds a level of stress on us. That's why living a healthy lifestyle can improve your financial health. Now, many of you know I am a cyclist. I enjoy riding my bike. I'm not the smallest guy out there, but I enjoy what I do. And yes, I do. And the reason is because it gives me a sense of accomplishment. I enjoy being able to listen to folks wonder and so how does he climb those mountains like that? It's training. If we can train our bodies and condition our minds and bodies to sit down all day, we can also condition and train our body to climb a mountain any day. You may not have to climb the steepest mountains, but the key is find something that keeps you going, that keeps that heart pumping. That heart is a muscle. It needs to be able to push that blood through those arteries and those capillaries, through those veins, because that blood is the life liquid that you need. Let it flow. When we do things such as clog our arteries, the other day I had to unclog the drains in our bathroom, because over time these things do get clogged up. Whether it's toothpaste, hair. All right, don't say it. Maybe not my hair, but there are other people in the family that do have hair. All right, just cut that out. All right, whatever gets clogged in the sink over a period of time, if you don't clean that stuff out, the water begins to back up, and then the sink becomes useless. Our veins, our heart and veins, our internal system is the same way. When we constantly put things in our bodies that could clog our arteries, all right, and things such as high cholesterol foods, it's okay to have a treat now and then, but when it becomes a staple of your diet, you must be careful. It may taste good going now, but internally, it builds that plaque inside of your arteries, and then now you have to take what? You have to get a bypass. It's going to cost you money. All right, you're going to have to spend money to take medication. It's going to cost you money. Taking blood thinners, all that stuff is preventable to a large degree. It's preventable to a large degree when you use an approach that drives you toward a healthier lifestyle. I like my soul food, but I also have to keep things in proportion. Keep it in proportion. All right? Eat a little bit now, go for a walk, come back, eat a little bit again. Not only what we eat, but also how we eat is very important. When you try and eat healthy, yes, it will cost you a little bit more money. But I would rather, and wouldn't you rather spend the extra money now, okay, than have to spend that money over a longer period of time because of medication? Now, some folks say, well, I just don't have time. I don't have time. Listen, two things that we can do to help educate our children on saving money and also living a healthier lifestyle. And that is teach them to shop for food and teach them to cook food. That's right. That's the best thing that we can do. Two of the best things. Teach them to go to the grocery store. And I know you're tired, and you're tired of that child hitting you in the back of your ankles with that shopping cart. I know you're tired of all that, but you, for the long term, will be producing someone, educating someone on how to put the proper price tag on their health, because now they're able to go shop and understand the value of money and the value of what they're buying. Here it is. Here's a case of point. My youngest son is in camp. And so he needs, at camp during the summer, they have to bring their own lunch. So he went to the store and he bought this thing called, have y'all heard of a Lunchable? It's about this big, a Lunchable. And he got the Lunchable, and so found out he paid $2 for this little bitty Lunchable, and $2 plus the tax, and it didn't even fill him up. So I said, all right, son, now imagine if we do that every day you're in camp, 5 days a week, you're going to be spending a lot of money. So what I did was I said, look here, this is what we're going to do. I said, you tell me everything that's inside the Lunchable. And we went to, all right, I'm not sponsored by them, but I'll tell you what to do. We went to Sam's Club, all right, or you can go wherever you need to go, and we bought the boat. So instead of buying a little teeny weeny piece of bread like this, we bought 2 long loaves for a small fraction of the cost. Then he said, well, it has, he said, it has bologna. I said, what type? He bought some turkey, some sliced turkey meat. He bought a big stack of, he liked Swiss cheese. He bought a Swiss cheese. He bought us some fruit, and he bought boxes. So we walked out of there, and I said, son, he said, Dad, they also have potatoes. He says, all right. So we bought a box of 50 individualized potato chips, bags of potato chips in the box. So now I said, look here, you got at least 50 days worth of food right there. And if we don't want to go 50 days, maybe he eats 2 bags of potato chips a day, all right? So let's say he has at least 2 weeks worth of food every day, 5 days a week at camp. And he went on his trip, made his own sandwich, I said, how was your lunch today? He said, it was good, Dad. It was good. And I know he was. And what I'm trying to teach him is that instead of buying that processed, prepackaged stuff, all right, you can make your own healthy lunch and snack and save your money. By eating healthy, he saved money. By eating healthy, he saved me some money. Now, I like that part. So when we talk about putting a price tag on your health, it's about making sure that we understand that a healthy lifestyle can lead to a healthy pocketbook. The debt, stress, it comes when we don't have enough money to take care of the basic essentials of life. It says that there is a link between stress and health. Here it is. It says humans have an innate response called flight or fight. It is nature's way of launching our bodies into action. Consider the physical response we feel during moments of stress. Consider the physical responses that you feel during moments of stress. What do you feel? When you get stressed out, all of a sudden it seems like your heart rate shoots up. Your body gets tense, tense and your neck gets stiff and all those muscles in your body just contract. Now, if you do that over and over and over again, you're putting wear and tear on your body. It is just like driving in certain parts of the Long Island Expressway, and you get in the middle of rush hour, you get stop and go. That stop and go traffic when you're driving puts a lot of stress on your car. And it puts stress on the driver too, because you're constantly wound up and you don't know, you're so wound up, that's when we get this thing called road rage, because people are so intense all the time. But think about when you're able to drive your car and put it on cruise control. Don't you feel relaxed? When you are on cruise control and you got a ways to go and you can see clearly down the road and you can see the obstacles and everybody who's on the road stays in their own lane, and you're able to drive, and no matter how the road elevates up, you're still able to keep the same speed. And when the road goes down, it slows itself down, it keeps the same speed. It adjusts accordingly to the road. When you're on cruise control, don't you feel as if you have less stress when you're driving? But if you are in the stop and go traffic, your stress level goes up. Well, the same way is when we're dealing with our finances. When we are so wound up when it comes to stress over money, we do ourselves a physical harm. Physical harm. When our bodies are so accustomed or having to deal with debt all the time, it brings on such things as and records have shown this. It brings our system to a high level of stress. It causes things such as diabetes, all right? Because what happens sometimes when we're under stress? We seek out comfort foods. And the comfort foods can lead to diabetes. And diabetes will lead to medication. And medication will lead to high cost of prescriptions. And high prescriptions leads to more money coming out of your pocket, being taken from someplace else. It's a domino effect. It also leads to things such as depression. High levels of stress lead to things such as gastronomical problems. It leads to asthma. It can lead to heart disease. It can also lead to a premature onset of Alzheimer and dementia. So these things, when we are placing our bodies under constant stress, especially when it has to deal with money, it puts our health in jeopardy. We ought to learn how to manage the stress and also learn how to manage the debt. So one way of managing the stress and debt at the same time is designing a more healthier lifestyle. Eating healthier, putting money toward things that are more healthier, getting rid of bad habits. All right, so if you are experiencing what we say a debt-related stress, you should consider attacking the root of the problem. Attack the root of the problem. Generally, it takes time to work down the debt, but that doesn't mean you can't manage the stress during that period of time. We know when moms say, "What? There's more than one way to skin a cat." There's a silver lining at the end of the rainbow. There's a silver lining in every cloud. That's what it was. So when mom used to say these things, she's saying, what I mentioned earlier, you don't let your environment dictate your involvement. So you may be in the environment of debt right now. You're trying to get your debt down, but don't let that debt drive you to high levels of stress. Many of us at times, listen, and I understand what it means to have more month at the end of the money. I do. But there is something that we have to recognize. Scriptures tells us greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. Regardless of what this world throws at you, you have to find your soul anchored in something that is greater than you. Something. And there is no greater power than to say when you're going through times of life that you can do all things through Christ Jesus who strengthens you. You can. So when you have a challenge that you are faced with, there is nothing new under the sun. You are giving challenges not to say that you can't do it, but to show that you can do it when you stick to it. So developing a strategy to eliminate your debt is the first step in lowering your stress. And it says, and the sense of control that a strategy gives you might furnish you to have hope and optimism. Hope and optimism. That's what we need. Scripture said things that were written before time were written for our learning, that we, through comfort of the scriptures, might have hope. What we learn when it comes to being good stewards of what God has blessed us with is that he will not leave you nor forsake you for as long as you hold on to his unchanging hand. So when we are dealing with health issues, when we are dealing with financial issues, we have to go back to the source that provided everything for us. We often say the scripture for power over tomorrow is Deuteronomy 8:18. Remember the Lord your God, for it is he that gives you the ability to make wealth. So if God gives you that ability to make wealth, it is incumbent upon us to be good stewards of what he has blessed us with. He blessed us with this thing called life. He blessed us with this thing called an earthen vessel. He has blessed us with the ability to put a roof over our head, food on the table, and clothes on our backs. So it is imperative. Imperative. It's not an option, ladies and gentlemen. It's imperative that we take care of the body that he's blessed us with. Because if I do not have to spend time on medication, that is money that I can give to the Lord's work. If I am not having to struggle with going on doctor's visits every other day, then that gives me the ability to maybe go to the hospital or go to the nursing home and visit and spread the good word, the good gospel of Jesus Christ. These things are why we have to put a price tag on health. Because when we don't take care of our health, it takes away from the things that we could be doing for the greater good. Ladies and gentlemen, putting a price tag on your health, reducing the debt stress. through it all, no matter how tough situations may be, find time for laughter and extending small kindnesses to someone else. He says, when we allow laughter to come into our life, it sends off a positive chemical reaction. When we're able to help someone in life, it sends off a positive chemical reaction. We're going to conclude with this story. And if I told you the story before, that's all right. Just sit back and appease an old man, all right? It was a situation where we were out, I think we was out in Myrtle Beach, visiting some friends. We was at a church function, and we went out to eat. And as we were walking to our car, with my family and our friends, and a gentleman comes up, and it was on a Sunday, so we was on we had our Sunday best on, but this gentleman comes, and you can tell it was a street person, and he began to approach or walk toward where my wife and children were standing, and being the protector that I am, I stepped in the middle, and I said, "Hold up!" I said, "May I help you?" And he said, "Well," and we were outside the restaurant. He says, can you give me some money? I'd like to get something to eat." And I said, "Well, I can't give you any money, but I can take you to get something to eat." Typically, when I say that to folks, for those, and this is what the Bible talks about being a proper discernment. "Oh, no, that's okay. That's okay. I just wanted this money." But this gentleman said something. He says, "You'll do that for me?" I said, "Yes." Then he says, "I can't go in there. They won't let me in there. I'm not dressed right." I said, "Come with me. Come with me." And we walked inside that restaurant, and they looked at him. But before they tried to really look at him, I stood in front of him and said, "My friend is hungry. He needs a menu." And they looked, and they handed him a menu. And he looked at me and says, "I don't know." I said, "Get what you want." And he ordered, "I just want a hamburger." I said, he ordered a hamburger, and I said, "You like French fries?" He says, "Yeah, I like French fries." I said, "Give him some French fries." I said, "Well, listen, you're gonna eat that hamburger. You're thirsty. You want something to drink?" He says, He says, "But I don't want. I don't want to ask." I said, "Listen, give my friend something to drink. As a matter of fact, give him 2 hamburgers, and also give him." I said, "What type of you like cheesecake?" And his eyes lit up like, "Yeah." I said, "Give him cheesecake too." And then a lady, I said, "Now give me the bill." Paid the bill, and I said, "Give him anything he wants." So he and I stood there talking, and came back, and you could see the tears in his eyes. So as I was already outside talking to my family before we got in the car. He came back over, and he said to me, "Can you pray for me? Can you pray for me?" And we prayed for that gentleman. And I say that because of this. When God gives you the ability to do good, as the scriptures say, do good unto all men, especially of those who are the household of faith. So when that gentleman needed help, I was in a financial position to be able to help. But greater than being in the financial position, I was in the spiritual position to be able to help. So when I talk to you about power over tomorrow, it is not just about the financial position. It is about the spiritual position. Power over tomorrow begins today. And when we understand where our blessings come from, then we will do our best. We must do our best to put the right price tag on our health, because the price has been paid for our souls. And on that note, I will say this. I want you to continue to hit us up on Twitter at TS Mitchell Power. Continue to follow us here on Power Over Tomorrow on Facebook. Like our financial page, tsmitchell.com. And please sign up for your free financial newsletters, as well as downloading. That's right, downloading our financial apps from your Apple Store or your Google Play. That's free. It goes right to your app. You're able to contact me and do whatever we need to do. But most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, most importantly, remember this. We have many more shows coming on here or Source Radio, SRN TV, live. All right? But remember this. In your walk of life, may the road rise up to meet you. May the wind forever be at your back. May the sun shine upon you with his warmth. May the rain fall upon you ever so gently. Until the next time when we can cross each other's path, may the God of heaven hold you in the hollow of his hands. I am Tyrone T.S. Mitchell. This has been Power Over Tomorrow. Source Nation, Facebook Live, family and friends, YouTube, wherever you are, remember this. Be well, be blessed, and be your best.
Get at me for beats, y'all.